Duke at NC State. Football this weekend. It's a big ACC game. It's a big game for obviously triangle rivalries. I look at it for this reason. Manny Diaz versus C.J. Bailey. We talked about C.J. Bailey in the thesis statement a bit. I'm not putting either of these guys in these camps, but it's the same dynamic. In the NFL for about 20 years, it was a thing. Bill Belichick against rookie quarterbacks. Right, you had one of the best defensive, if not the best defensive mind in the history of the NFL against somebody that was just trying to keep their head above water. And it didn't matter if you were a first-round pick, third-round pick, sixth-round pick, undrafted rookie free agent. If you were a rookie quarterback going up against Bill Belichick, he was going to make your life living heck. And the stats back it up. Right? It was the turnovers, the losses, they all piled up. And it's because that's not a fair fight. Some guy with decades and decades and decades of scheming experience against a guy who, probably 5 years prior was going up against, people wearing braces that were in chemistry 2 hours before. Like that's not fair. When Bill Belichick was learning how to scheme up Lawrence Taylor, when he was the defensive coordinator of the Giants, these guys that he's going up against were nothing but a sparkle in their parents' eyes. Manny Diaz, again, I'm not putting him in the category of Bill Belichick, just like I'm not putting C.J. Bailey in the category of the rookie quarterbacks that Belichick was going up against, but a veteran defensive mind in college who has had success defensively throughout his career, including most recently as the defensive coordinator at Penn State, going up against a freshman quarterback is always a fun chess match. I want to see what Manny is going to scheme up for a guy who, like I said, what was it, last year, would have been, sitting in biology, sitting in whatever classes you take at a Florida high school, daydreaming about his game that night on a Friday. He's going to disguise some things. He's going to send some exotic blitzes. He's going to make it look like they're going to blitz the house and drop everybody. And he's going to try to confuse C.J. Bailey.
It's a defense that can get their hands on the ball, too.
Force turnovers.
Yep.
And by the way, I can speak from experience. The more confused you are as a quarterback, the more likely you are to give the ball to the other team. Never once heard a quarterback say, I saw everything, knew what was going on, decided to throw it at the linebacker's chest anyway. Normally, it's, I didn't know what was going on. I thought I had it, thought it was this, but it wasn't, and I threw it at the linebacker's chest. And it's just a lottery game if that linebacker can catch or not. You hope he can't. You hope he's got a club, right? You hope he broke his thumb and he's got a cast there. That's your only hope at that point. These two teams, I'm struggling with this. One of the themes, and you'll hear everybody talk about it going into this game, are the two teams are going in opposite directions. I actually saw a WRL Sports article on it. And it's not wrong, so I'm not calling them out. I'm just struggling with it. NC State turning their season around, they've won the last 2 games. Duke kind of turning their season around, they've lost the last 2 games. Here's why I struggle with two teams moving in opposite directions. If you flip the schedules, I think Duke's coming in with a 2-game win streak and NC State's coming in with a 2-game losing streak, at least, right, depending on how the games prior went. Because NC State played Stanford and Cal. Duke played SMU and Miami. Those are not the same. So moving in different directions or just playing a different schedule, right? It's like I played a par 3 and in a golf match or whatever, and I hit a 4, right? That's a bogey. Meanwhile, you played a par 5, you hit a 4, that's a birdie, and us going ooh, we're in similar positions. It's I don't know. You probably played better than I did. The course matters. The opponent matters. Manny Diaz, the head coach of Duke, was asked about having to finish games against good teams because they've been in the games against SMU, Miami. They just weren't able to win them. This is what Manny Diaz had to say.
Pulling the lens back for a second, the last 2 games, we've played the 2 teams that look like they're on a collision course to play for our league championship. One of those teams we lost to by a point in overtime, and one of the teams we were winning by 11 at their place in the third quarter. So I think we've shown kind of on our pathway to becoming a championship program, I think we've shown that when in spurts we can play with anybody. To go on a 28-3 run on the road anywhere is very impressive, but to do it with a caliber of team like Miami and the athletes that they have was a sight to see. But there's another level to this, and how to close games against teams like that.
You do have to close games against good teams, and I think this will be an opportunity. NC State, I would say, is a good team at this point, and if you want to prove that you can, this is a good week to do it. The other thing, it's a little different, right? On the road, and we're about to play a clip for you, but Manny Diaz closing games out on the road. Not to say it's not on the road, because it is. They're playing at NC State, but it's a little different than Miami. You know what I mean? It's not quite as far. You're more familiar with the terrain. Here's Manny Diaz on closing games out on the road.
This year, if you look at our two road losses in the league, both games we had second half leads. Both games combined, I think we were outscored by 32 points in the fourth quarter. In our other 7 games, where we're 6-1, we're outscoring the opposition by 42 points, almost a touchdown better than our opposition in the fourth quarter in these other 7. So what's happening on the road? How do you close somebody out? That's a learned skill. That's not easy to do, because you're going to get a response, especially when you have the lead, which we had second half leads in both of our road league games. And you're going to feel the momentum of the home crowd as they get into it, as their team, starts to make a fight back, which is going to happen.
I love playing on the road more than I liked playing at home. I love playing at home, don't get me wrong. But silencing an away crowd might be the best feeling in sports. Making a big play and being able to hear your teammates on the sideline, it's pretty darn cool. Duke's going to try to do it.